Episode 283. I'm just pouring myself a Turk Roach, which is my homebrew of stout made to taste like Turkish delight.
It's not bad.
Oh yeah, you have had it. I made it last year in winter, and it was a failure because the caps I was using didn't hold the carbonation. So this year it turned out a lot better.
All right. Well,
and,
things do turn out good. I do have to say, tell the long-term viewers that I've been investigating a pedophile ring, etc. I went to the sentencing of one of the deserving victims of it. It's one Craig Silvey, and he was a children's book author and also a near recidivist CSAM collector and distributor.
And totally paused as well, right? Promoting LGBT crap.
It was little boys. So, when I went into the WA district courts, there was sections where they asked the audience, hey, look, do you want to see this? So this is on the 3rd of July. And some of the court left, some of the court remained. I just fucking remained because I want to know exactly what kind of sins this guy has actually done. His defense put an appeal out to reduce his sentence. The prosecution put an appeal out to extend it. Unfortunately, I believe he's just going to get 2 years, but it's 2 years in Hague here. I don't think he's going to last a month. What's your opinion, Finian?
Well, yeah, Hague here is notoriously rough. So
he's in jail tonight. His appeals have failed as of yesterday morning. And so he's number 19 on my list.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's hope there's more to come.
There's 2, actually.
All right.
But let's talk about anti-Semitism in Gaza.
Yes, let's. So we're going to kick it off talking about the Royal Commission that is ongoing. And in case you didn't know, it is the goal is to have it wound up by the time we get to the 1-year anniversary of the Bondi Beach attack. And there's signs that deadline perhaps will not be met because they are just getting swamped by submissions. So according to the Australian, they have been receiving on average 59 submissions each day. And
including broken mugs.
Well, they're expected to consider every one of them. And apparently thus far, they have received over 20,000. To put that into perspective, that is apparently the same amount of submissions that they have received for the last 8 most recent Royal Commissions. So, this is abnormal. You're not supposed to actually have that many submissions come in. But I guess because of the broad-based nature of this, it's not really a Royal Commission into Bondi. It's the Royal Commission into Anti-Semitism and Social Cohesion, or at least that's what we're told, which is really a bizarre thing to actually have a Royal Commission into. Like when Albo
Shouldn't we have
pointed
that
out
as a
originally,
nation?
we had nothing for uh, Port Arthur, for example, where 25 extra people were killed. But of course, the Jewish lobby is extremely powerful, even in a middle power like Australia. And I think this just really shows that, I mean, the reason why they're getting such an enormous amount of submissions is because, like, basically every bloody Jew in the country is sending them in. And often, they're very long. I mean, in the case of, what was his name? Lowy, from the Lowy Institute.
Yeah.
He put in like a 16-page submission, talking about how he and his family apparently are the recipients of anti-Semitism on a daily basis, and he reckons he's gotten death threats as well. So he wants a dedicated anti-Semitism police force, and of course for the hate speech laws to go further. Now, someone else who wants that is Josh Burns. So he is, I guess, would probably be Labor's most senior Jewish member at the moment, ever since the demotion of Mark Dreyfus. But I don't know if people remember this. He's married to like some greenie, and he reckons that she has been getting tons of hate mail because of the fact that she is fucking a Jew, I guess. He took the stand at the Royal Commission not long ago because his own office was like covered in red blood as well.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, like the people who did that, they were actually calling him a fascist. Like, I honestly, I have to question if the people who did it even knew he was Jewish, because like if you're,
It seemed like some kind of like weird kind of like Western imperialist to most don't have a good
yeah,
word to explain those people.
yeah, I mean, like Josh Frydenberg had the same thing done to him, where they were like painting a Hitler moustache on him. If you're attacking Israel and Zionism and the war in Gaza, like from the left, if that's the
Yeah.
perspective you have, you don't really see Jews as Jews. You see them as white people in the Middle East. And anyone who's a Zionist is just like some kind of fascist or something. That's what really annoys me about this. It's like, no, come on, that is not anti-Semitism at all. Like, the Jewishness here has nothing to do with it. Now, it's silly. It's a stupid point of view to be attacking them as whites, like white settlers, settler colonialists. Yeah, it's dumb, but that is actually what they're doing because they don't understand the situation.
And again, how many times have we talked about like leftists like walking into minefields that they don't even know exist?
Yeah, like Tash Peterson.
Yep.
Who's kind of come back on the scene recently. I think one of the most recent things I saw from her was she was going and pulling people's fishing rods out of the water because they were murdering fish, something like that. But yeah, she didn't. When she referred to like the animal holocaust, she didn't really know what she was getting herself into.
Oh no, she made an apology. February this year.
She what?
Yeah, she did a mea culpa or whatever the
Oh,
fuck.
she did apologize.
Yes. No,
Oh.
she bowed her head to the real powers that be, and yeah, that's why she gets to be an absolute cunt again.
Okay, I thought because I mean at first she just doubled down. Video I saw of
Yep.
her anyway, she doubled down. She's like, no, and she did this dictionary definition of what Holocaust meant. And she's like, no, it meets the definition.
Yeah, no,
Look,
she fucking doubled back. February 24th, this year. Like, yeah, no, she literally like had a deal with a rabbi about it. But yeah,
oh, okay.
so
All right.
that's
Well,
why, by the way, that's why she gets to do that.
okay. Well, look, let me just spell out what I think would be the worst case scenario regarding this Royal Commission. It would be this: come the High Court case that Thomas Sewell, etc., are taking
Mm.
up against the federal government. If they lose that, and then we have the Royal Commission wind up giving recommendations for laws that are even more draconian than what we have on the books right now, the Albanese government will pass them. So not only will we have, the same laws that ban the NSN and whatever, but we're going to have something worse because if you look at all these people in their submissions, that's what they're calling for. So, for example, Mark Dreyfus and Josh Burns are both saying that the threshold for vilification should be lower than that of inciting violence, right? So that's just simply, outlawing bad words, mean speak. They're no longer actually saying like, you have to whip up a crowd or anything. No, you just have to say things that they don't like. And that's what everyone, Frank Lowy, Mark Dreyfus, Josh Burns, pretty much anyone who's given testimony or evidence at the Royal Commission, it's what they're calling for.
Yeah.
The Executive Council of Australian Jewry as well has also put out various statements calling for that. Now, Mike Kelly, who's a former Labor minister, but of course he's a darling of the Murdoch press, he wants information warfare collaboration to combat anti-Semitism, and that should be a central feature of the AUKUS Pact with Britain and the
Oh
United
god.
States. He wants to make that part of AUKUS. An information warfare collaboration. Right.
How the fuck are they going to sell that?
Well, okay. So look, this was in his submission to the Royal Commission. He said Australia must prioritise research to fight insidious and poisonous narratives in cooperation with the US Defence Advanced Research Projects Agency.
So I guess is it Mark Namara that's actually going to help him on this one, or
You mean his former seat?
yeah, I know, sir. Like like is he supported by Mark Namara as his former seat? Sorry.
I don't know. I know he's a member of like Labour Friends of Israel.
Yeah, God.
But yeah, no, he's very. That's why Sky News love him, but because they love being able to like find the odd Labor member who they say is like the sensible one, the one who pushes back against the radical elements of their own party.
Yes, the one who literally shares the last name of one of the most fucking terrible merchants in the entire world. Yes.
Well, like Michael Danby is definitely an example. Kimberly Kitching as well.
Yeah.
The people who think that she died because she was double vaccinated or triple vaccinated, whatever it was she was, I can't remember.
Vaxxed or taxed?
Okay, now, at the University of Melbourne, academics have been pushing for a historian there, Matthew Champion, to rescind his award because it came from an Israel-linked philanthropic organization. Now, the reason for that, this Israel-linked organization has refused to use the word genocide in its criticism of the Gazan war. So you might think, that's kind of going a bit far because this group actually says that they want the war in Gaza to come to an end, but they still won't describe it as a genocide. Well, yeah.
No, why not just rename the reward? Just call it like the Good Goy Award, and then call it a day.
Well, I mean, even the
Good Goyim.
God, I can't. Why do I keep forgetting the name of it? But that like basically left wing Jewish think tank that was started up just after
AJA.
Bondi.
ACJA.
Yeah, it might be that, but they even they will not refer to it as a genocide. I mean, they definitely want it to come to an end because they see it as very bad optics for Jews, and they're right about that. But they still wouldn't call it a genocide. And the other day I stumbled on this bloody Sam Harris video, and because he keeps saying, "Oh, it's not a genocide, and it doesn't meet the definition of a genocide." And his way of explaining that was when they dropped the nuclear bomb on Hiroshima. He goes, "No one at the time called that a genocide." I'm like, yes, they fucking did. What are you talking
I'm
about?
so for you fucking like showing me enough children with half their heads fucking missing, which
Yeah.
I don't
As soon
particularly
as I saw that,
appreciate. But
as soon
yeah,
as I,
that's a genocide.
yeah,
Fuck
no,
you.
as soon as I heard him say that, I went to immediately fact check him. And within seconds, I had all these quotes coming up from like newspaper articles back in
In the
1945
40s, yeah.
describing it as a genocide.
Yeah, I
And
know.
by the way,
One. I'll even give the Americans, under what particular government control they were under at the time. Um, I'll say this, that's one hard instance after long fighting, and then there was no fighting on, the Japanese mainland. It was just a bombing campaign. Okay.
yeah,
We have been given by a local visage of children's hospitals, men, women, non-combatants being obliterated on purpose.
Hmm.
So yeah,
And
fuck you.
by the way, the death toll is actually pretty similar. I believe around 100,000 people died in Hiroshima. The latest figures I've seen for Gaza are 73,000, and about 1,000 of those actually occurred since the ceasefire last October. So, I mean, right now, like the war in Gaza is supposed to be over because there is a ceasefire in place. But what do ceasefires actually mean to Israel? Nothing.
Wait 5 minutes and then start bombing again.
Yeah, pretty much. And also, the death toll in Lebanon since March this year is nearly 5,000 now. And also, in case you've forgotten, the settlers are still killing people in the West Bank. That just doesn't really get any media coverage.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So
We enter Iran.
before that, the AFP assessing a brief that they received about war crimes of an Australian citizen that were committed while serving in the IDF. So this was something I saw various Jewish groups going mental about because they said, well, look, this is an Israeli defense matter. You, as a foreign country, Australia, has no right to look into this. Yes, that's right. These were Jewish groups who were actually telling Australia to keep their nose out of Israel's business. Well, the person is an Australian citizen, right? Now, does that mean I consider them Australian? No. They're obviously Jewish. But I just love that, like that striking hypocrisy. I mean, did we tell Israel to keep their noses out when Bondi happened? Because Israel very, very, very much felt like that concerned them because
Did we
Jews
tell
were.
Israel to keep their nose out when literally, our most autistic politician noted their fucking presence?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh
we
yeah.
never tell Israel to like mind their own business. Who would? You'd be accused of anti-Semitism. And here is the AFP looking into that. And Israel says, like, how dare you investigate the war crimes of one of our soldiers? He probably did something really fucked up as well. You know, I mean, if you're actually a member of the IDF and you're not getting away with stuff, like if you had a file written on you for bad shit you've done in the IDF in Gaza, you must have done something pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, no, I've seen videos of them, dragging kids, like kicking and screaming, and then the kid getting a fray, and then yeah. So yeah, it's fucked,
Yep.
completely and utterly fucked, and it's fucked on purpose.
All right. And finally, the Australian is again attacking the Labor Party, federal Labor, that is, over their upcoming national conference. So they're moving various motions or policy drafts to ease the pressure on Hamas. Now, the thing is, though, the conditions under which they support a Palestinian state remain the same. So that's stuff like, Hamas can have no role in a future government in Gaza, for example. Um, but really, the only difference here in this draft policy is that they are putting blame for what's going on in Gaza more on Israel. They have definitely not absolved Hamas of responsibility here. They're still very critical of Hamas. All that they've done really is just like add a little bit of extra criticism to Israel, um, which I think would be pretty hard not to do.
No, as a Western government, it's good to see that it's happening in the first place, but again, how genuine is it? That's the question.
Yeah, and the other day I saw, I think it was on Ryan Dawson's channel, like since the ceasefire, there's been like a demarcation line between Gaza and surrounding Israel, and that demarcation line has been slowly closing in, right? So they're doing a land grab. Um, of course, they'll just say that that is strategic territory that they must have control of for security reasons. The same reason why they
It's
apparently,
my DMZ. It's
yeah,
my artillery line, etc. And while
yep.
they're also going and fucking with Lebanon, which is going to cause more problems for us, I guess, over here
Well,
in West Sydney, right?
right. Well, I was just going to mention like the example of the Golan Heights. You know, for years they said the Golan Heights they were only occupying that land for um, strategic purposes, nothing more. And then Donald Trump said, "Oh no, we recognize Israel's right to Golan Heights." And so Israel just said, "Oh, okay, well, we've annexed it now. It's just part of Israel." You know, stuff this pretense about a security zone. No, we just own it. It's just ours.
No, dude, fucking oh god.
All right, so under the Iran war, which you know is definitely going to be ongoing for a while longer, the agreement to agree has not materialized into anything fruitful. But here's another one of these examples from the Labor Party that Sky News really like. The one like sensible member in the Senate. Uh, this guy's name is Raf Ciccone. He's of Italian extraction, and he's attacking the ABC over a story that was on 7:30. It was called "Women of the Revolution," so it's about women in Iran, and they made what he referred to as an incredible claim that for every Iranian woman fighting for freedom and dignity, there is also one who supports the Ayatollah and the strict observance of Shia Islam. So, in other words, they made the highly controversial claim that 50% of females in Iran support the current government. Um, well, if that's an incredible claim, I would have to say, yeah, that's because probably even more of them support the government than what you're saying.
Again, I don't think I've showed you the footage, but like I did film like a pro Ayatollah wedding, a traditional Iranian wedding over here. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've just had the funeral,
Yeah.
which, I mean, obviously, they had to wait a long time to be able to hold a proper funeral, considering they've done it in Tehran. Uh, that would be a pretty good target. And I'm sure it was very hard for the Israelis to restrain themselves. They would have loved
From
that.
What, double tapping?
Yes.
As a double tap?
Yeah, so look, your fuel prices are still going to be a bit higher. Of course, now that it's July, you have
Yep.
less of a reduction in your excise tax. I don't know, you only get like 10 cents off now or something. I can't remember the exact figure.
I didn't get shit, so that's fine.
But Ampol is saying that we shouldn't forget the value of domestic oil refining here in Australia, because a lot of us were suddenly made aware that we only have 2 oil refineries in the entire country.
Oh, one and a half, right?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, and one of them went up in flames, like right after the start of the war, which was just like the worst possible timing. And yeah, I mean, I remember when that happened. Like, people were actually talking about the possibility of opening up new refineries in Australia. Uh, you know, because in the past 10 years, we've only ever been talking about closing them down, and we have closed a lot of them down.
Yeah. Again, like I'll give it to Mr. Randy Man recently saying like he showed me a video of Mel Gibson saying like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, like by the way, like we're literally funding the creation of industries that are domestic abroad using industrial aid. And I was just like, oh yeah, fuck, I remember that. And also, yes, that even became, fuel refinery in the Middle East. Then even became like a fuel refinery in South America and America itself, really. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our favorite topic, immigration. And we're going to talk about foreign students. So you might know that Julian Leeser, who is, I believe, the only Jewish frontbencher now in federal parliament, he's the education shadow minister. And he says that a future Liberal government would slash foreign student numbers, stamp out woke ideology, and force universities to teach students about national pride and Australian values. So that's the stuff that Julian Leeser just has to kind of sprinkle on top to make look like, oh, he's the base Jew.
How do you translate that into Mandarin?
Well, look, let me tell you what this is about. There are some foreign students he absolutely wants to send back. There definitely are. And they're Arabs, right? They're Arab Muslims who come over here. And, they're probably the least likely to buy into the kind of Australian values propaganda he wants to push. And, therefore, they're staunch supporters of Palestine and anti-Zionists. They're the ones they want to send back. And I mean, in America, the only time when they really got serious about deporting foreign students was when they were involved in pro-Palestine activism on American campuses. Well, it's the same thing here, right? And if the libs were in power right now, I mean, they'd probably already be doing it.
I was gonna say like GeoBlock A versus GeoBlock B. Like, I don't even believe the anti-Zionism in like relative to GeoBlock B. It's like, oh yes, I don't like when my when my politician is like going against anti-Semitism in GeoBlock B. Like, I don't believe it. That's the problem.
Oh no. Oh, look at this next story. Severe trigger warning.
Yep.
So
Brace for
the Indian
impact.
the Indian government has just released data about how many of their citizens are living outside of India. So the top 10 countries Indians like to live are America, Canada, and the UK. So the UK has the ninth largest overseas Indian population with 1.28 million. And Australia, we didn't quite make it to the top 10. We're number 12. We have 845,000 Indians living here.
Look,
Now,
there's no getting a medal for this. It's more so like a hand wipe.
yeah, and I mean, well, look, remember, we get Indians now. We get migrants from India more than any other country. We have done for a few months now, or at least it's just, it's been official for a few months now. It's also pointed out in this article that, according to the ABS, Australian Bureau of Statistics, it's probably more. We probably are getting more than 845,000. Yeah, I mean,
On
I'm
this
surprised.
battlefield, no one washes.
I mean, maybe it just feels like there's more of them there because every scam caller who calls me is a fucking Indian. Or anytime there's like people who dump rubbish at the side of the road, it's an Indian. Or whenever I pay for my fucking fuel, it's an Indian. You know,
But no
maybe
fucking fly tipping fucking pisses me off. I've caught fucking a whole bunch. I've lived in this neighborhood for about a year and a bit, and I've got Indians fly tipping here about twice. You know who else? None.
no one else
1
does that.
year.
I mean, when we covered that story about councils going off their heads about illegal dumping in Melbourne, I mean, not even fucking Africans did that, you know? Like just dumping like trailer loads of fucking garbage. Not even Africans did that shit. That's like just an Indian thing to do. Um, okay, now we're going to get on to the economy and housing. So,
Oh,
uh, well, look, we might as well also just mention a recent news poll that came out. Um, it actually found that One Nation's vote like went slightly down, right? And Labor's
yes.
vote went up, and the coalitions also went a little bit down. Now, ever since Angus Taylor took over, you could say he got like a brief honeymoon period, and yes, his numbers did start to go up, but only in comparison to Susan Lee, who of course had a dreadful run as leader. So a lot of people are saying now, well, look, so soon after he took on the leadership, why is it that his numbers are already starting to fall? And already I'm starting to see people talk about rolling him as leader. you know, that did not take long. Certainly did not take long. But anyway, the reason I mentioned that talking about the economy is because the Australian newspaper seems to believe that Labor stalwarts are now feeling emboldened. They're saying, oh, well, look, we managed to pass these reforms on capital gains tax and negative gearing. We managed to get it through Parliament quite quickly. And look at this, the poll numbers are actually positive. Yeah, we probably have pissed off some investors and even some new home owners because the value of their property has declined. However, there's also a lot of other people out there who are saying, okay, this is a good thing, um, because property prices are falling, albeit by a very small amount. So, um,
It's more like a plateau.
well, yeah, I know it is. Well, yeah, no, we're going to go into that in the next story, but
Yes.
right now, they're saying that like the rank and file, particularly from like the left faction, are exerting more pressure on Albanese to go for further reform. You know, because you always got to remember that Labor are secret socialists, and they always want to
Hmm.
push as much
Terrible.
socialist reform as they possibly can. And if they manage to pass a little bit and then go up in the polls, well, imagine what else they could do. That's the idea that the Australian is pushing here. I don't know if I necessarily buy it. Um, I would say no. I mean, look, Albo does come from the left faction, but what does that mean? That's neoliberal leftism. Um,
I come from the left faction. And further left than Albo does. So what does that mean?
right. Well, okay. Well, all right. Now we will talk about housing, and look, I've
Yes.
done my rant over um, you know you, how you can't have it both ways. You cannot have an economy where you please investors and recent homeowners while at the
Nope.
same time making housing more affordable. Like you can't do both at the same time. It is an either or thing. Um, and house prices are already too high. So if they're already too high, I mean, well, look, unless you can actually massively increase real wages in this country, something that hasn't happened for a long time, considering we've had about 3 decades of declining productivity rates. Uh, unless you can do that, have a radical increase in real wages, the only way you can make housing more affordable is for housing prices to fall. That's it. There's no other option. And I've seen the fucking Sky News and the Liberal Party going on about how in Sydney, shock horror, in some areas in Sydney, housing prices have gone down by 1.2%. Oh no, 1.2%. Imagine what that's wiped off a fucking boomer's portfolio. Give me a
That,
fucking
that,
break.
that that's a heart attack waiting to happen, isn't it, Finian?
And look, I guess, look, I do somewhat feel sorry for if you recently bought a house, like just before the changes, and you're now in negative equity. Okay, I feel sorry for you. That's not a good thing. But comparatively, it's very small. Okay, so you like
And then
in the
who the
short
fuck are
term,
you?
you suffered a 1% loss on the value of your house. Like, is that really so bad? Really? And
Uh,
chances are it's not an investment property. It's just the house that you want to live in. So you weren't going to sell it anyway. You know what I mean?
yeah, you're gonna sit in it because it's the fucking roof over your head. And
Yeah.
even then, like the young house buyer, that's me. You know who I am, Finian. Yeah, I deserve it.
Well, I'm glad you say that. And there are some people out there to their credit who are like, yeah, look, even some boomers out there who will go like, well, look, I've been pretty lucky. I own like 5 bloody properties that I bought for peanuts back in the 90s. And, I've had a pretty good run. I don't mind if my portfolio goes down by 1%, you know?
I just want to trade this place out for a nice place where I can actually raise a family. That's
Yeah.
it. That's my game
Now,
plan.
now also, let me point out here that, COVID was 2020. We had roughly 2 years of restrictions. And then we let in, come 2022, 2023, we let in a shit ton of people, and that's when we really started to see the spike. So, um, some analysis done by the ABC asked the question, well, what if, let's say Australia wide, you had a 10% fall in housing prices? And this is something that like the libs have put forward as like some kind of horror scenario. Could you imagine
Oh
if
yeah.
the house prices actually went down
Oh
by that
dear
much,
God.
by 10%? Well, do you know where that would actually bring you? You'd actually go back to what median house prices were at the end of 2024. So
Yep.
18 months ago. 18 if just I mean wrap your head around that. In 18 months, they've already like skyrocketed by a massive amount. And even back then, the end of 2024, we were already talking about a housing crisis. You know, we started to use that term probably in 2022 or 23. You know, it was
I
always
was gonna
bad.
say like didn't I show you the purchase price and the sell price of my house? And it fucking freaked you the fuck out that I was over 3 years.
I don't recall that, but
Well,
anyway.
next time I'll show you.
Okay. All right. Now,
It's
and also
bullshit.
to put this into further perspective, the current median house price is 8.9 times bigger than the average income.
Yep.
All right. You know, I mean, back when I was a teenager, people were still buying houses for $150,000. You know, imagine
And
if
he's
you
older
were on
than me.
100 grand a year. You know, you'd have that house paid off in no time.
Oh god, and I was literally like earning less than him and at the time, and the house that I was sitting on was appreciating $100,000 a year
Hmm.
flat.
Yeah, no, it's still amazing. I mean, like um, my parents didn't actually own a house till they were like in their early 40s. Um, but they are so lucky that they did actually buy a house finally at that stage, because they bought it in a good area. Like it's in a good school zone, like a school that lots of people parents want to get into, and yeah, it was just exponential growth like every year. It was amazing. Um, and it's of course it's worth an absolute shit ton now.
Can we say this together? I absolutely fucking hate boomers.
Well, I'll say this: when I gave the example of boomers who say no, it's okay, like we don't mind having our value depreciate. My parents actually do say that, so
Oh, there we go.
I'll give them credit in that regard. But there's a shit ton of
There we go.
boomers who don't though.
Yeah. Would you like to meet some, Finian?
No, I'm good. Uh,
All right.
okay, so right. So from the Australians, here's the more of the nightmare scenario. So they're saying that the country's largest mortgage brokers say the number of prospective first home buyers applying for loans has plummeted by 20% since Jim Chalmers unveiled his changes. Um, yeah, so that's obviously what is partly accounting for the decline in prices. What is
That's a
probably just
decline.
going to
It's
be, yeah, I mean, how long ago these reforms? I must point out they came in like a bloody 2 weeks away, 2 weeks ago. Like this dip is not going to last. So yeah, obviously, what they call auction clearing rates on a decline. Less people are buying houses. Oh, for like a period of 1 month, they're going to go back. It is all going to stabilize again. Don't worry, Boomer. Your portfolio is fine.
yeah, you got a plateau. Like, congratulations. Like, your property's value stays, relative to inflation rather than like, increasing more than fucking 3% year on year. So
Yeah. Never mind. Never
I'll
mind.
say,
Like the
I'll say this:
25
go
years of
fuck
growth you got.
yourself. By the way, that I say that as a property owner. Go fuck yourself.
Hmm. If you had like 20, 30 years of like what is almost like exponential growth on your property, and you think this is bad, like fuck you. Seriously.
Yep.
All right. Um, what are we on?
I are.
Yeah, I realized a lot of the ones I've just kind of put the same story multiple times on the housing. It's probably because I was so triggered
Yep.
by it. Oh wait,
That's fair.
here's one actually. Just quickly. If you are a new home buyer, New analysis from the RBA is showing that you are probably under more financial stress than back when interest rates were at 17.5% in 1989.
Oh yeah, no, like I actually brought that up with my father because well, he told me about his father. He was like alive during the Great Depression, and he was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, like we couldn't get a loan at all,
Hmm.
but the buying power of the dollar was great, and he earned about like 3 of them an hour."
Yeah. All right. So I'm also seeing all these, stories about like people coming up with inventive ways of finding themselves shelter, should they find themselves homeless. Uh, One of the things people have been doing in Queensland is squatting on derelict boats. So
Can I tell you
sometimes,
something terrible?
what's that?
Well, you know that I'd like to like search around and that dome cafe that's up near that beach a little bit north of Sorrento, or with
Oh,
the shower system.
maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, no, it turns out that there's about 200 and something odd homeless early 20 guys and some women, unfortunately, um that are up there, and they wake up about 6:30 in the morning. That's because I go for a run there. Not anymore, but yeah, no, they go for a run and they go for a cold shower at the beach showering system.
Okay.
Is
Well,
that
look,
depressing?
yeah, no. Well, I mean, look, this story I found depressing as well. So I didn't actually know this, but apparently a lot of people just dump their boats. And no, I'm not talking about Indians. I mean actual Aussies. Like, sometimes instead of like paying fees to get it registered or to get it fixed or whatever, they just leave it out in like the dock. And so what then happens is some homeless people actually take it over. Uh, and yeah, they've
All
there was
right.
this one guy, they call him like the pirate because he's actually like done up this boat. But the thing is though, the cops are starting to crack down on it now. They're going out there, um, kicking
Oh,
them off,
okay. Like a
giving them fines, and then they like they tow away the boat to have it destroyed.
girl, why not?
All right, now
Call him the
finally, Lydia Thorpe.
privateer.
So Lydia Thorpe is trying to stop the auction of several uh, social housing blocks, and this is due to them not paying their rates. Okay, now that's all they had to pay. All right, they didn't even have to pay rent. All they had to do was like pay the council rate, and they weren't even able to do that. And apparently, there's over $1 million worth. So the only thing really you
Where's
can
that
do at that point,
100 fucking houses?
I don't know. Um, but I mean, I'd also like to know that this article didn't say anything about the state that those houses are in. I mean, I'd like to know how they treat those houses. I'd say pretty fucking bad.
Oh, yeah, God.
Okay. All right. Now, the Labor Party, speaking of like, a more kind of like left wing populist position that they could be pushed into, the idea of superannuation for teenagers. Um, Now, I don't really see that as such a bad idea. But I mean, like, one of the reasons why the local fast food joint will hire teenagers rather than adults is simply because they're cheaper. Um, people who are under 18 can be paid at lower rates. And that's the whole reason why you've got that. And that's why, like, I remember when I went to France many years ago, I was really surprised to see like how many adults were working in like McDonald's and stuff. And then I was told, oh yeah, no, it's because of their minimum wage laws. Like teenagers get paid the same amount as adults. And I was like,
On the
oh
other end of the Champs Elysees, I fucking found a 29-year-old when I was like barely 16 myself.
yeah, it was really weird. Like wherever it was I went to order, like, I was expecting some like 15-year-old to take my order. It's like this grown man.
Nope.
Um, so yeah, I mean, obviously, then if you were to make compulsory super contributions, you'd make hiring a teenager more expensive. So I don't know. I'd have to kind of see the cost benefit analysis to decide if that's a good
Statecraft
idea.
is an absolute bitch, but it is a solvable equation.
Yeah, well, look, it doesn't look like Labor are going to do it anyway. Even though the ACTU wants them to do it and the Greens want them to do it, um, you know, the Greens didn't exactly talk about that when it came to negotiating the tax reform that they just voted through anyway.
Look. There's no state that actually wants to do statecraft if they've got a corporate sector. Like the corporate sector will always bleed into the state.
Yeah,
and that's me being incredibly left leaning. But am I wrong? That's the question you should ask yourself.
you put the socialist into National Socialist.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
now, so the coalition has referred the Labor Party, like as a whole, to the National Anti-Corruption Commission, the NACC. Now, this is actually due to their ties with industry superannuation funds. So the super fund that is always singled out in this regard is CBUS.
Yep.
And the reason why is because they're basically seen as like a financial arm of the CFMEU. So, their niche market is superannuation for those involved in construction. But it tends to mainly be construction workers. It's not like, contractors and whatnot. It's workers. And yeah, if you
cool.
like, if you work,
Don't care.
If you work on like a union site, construction site, the CFMEU have an EBA running there. That's where your super is going. You're not going to get a choice to nominate your own fund. your money is going to CBUS. So it's stuff like that that the coalition is sort of uncomfortable about. They think that like Labor, with these various government contracts and whatnot, are always pushing employees to have their super in CBUS. Now, I don't know if you could actually say that's a case warranting investigation for corruption. I'm not really sure. But the other thing is, as far as I know, CBUS is actually a pretty good fund. Like if you have your funds with them,
they're 6.2 year over year, so they're actually pretty good.
Yeah. So it's like those people who are with them, even if they have been, like forced into it or whatever, well, they're not complaining because their returns are actually pretty good.
Yeah. So
okay. Now, Community Strong Australia. Yes, that is what TEALS. So at this stage, it's still just Allegra Spender and Zali Stegol. They haven't gotten the other TEALS like Pocock on board yet. But they have, according to the Australian, finally made their a break with Labor and the Greens. Now, I don't think that's a good way of putting it because there is plenty of legislation that the TEAL members have voted against, that was put forward by Labor and the Greens. Um, and anyway, this was about laws that ensure the Commonwealth does not favour union-backed business when awarding contracts. So,
Uh,
yeah.
okay, so how do you as a teal member disguise daddy's business as a union?
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny.
It's actually very easy. But
I mean, a lot of the time they're invested in things that they're supposed to oppose. Like, well, I'm not thinking of the Teals here. Actually, I'm thinking of Tim Wilson, the Shadow Treasurer. It turned out he has like shares in some like bloody carbon credits scheme. You know, that like makes money off a regime that he wants to see scrapped.
oh, dude, green energy was a fucking like a nutcase thing back in the late '80s until like it was invested into by like heavy industrial
Oh,
magnates.
oh
So
no,
yeah, like
I'm just saying the
yeah, like
hypocrisy of it. That's all.
and that's the worst part, the hypocrisy.
Yes, no, but I mean, well, Tim Wilson, like, not only is he, a liberal shadow treasurer now, he came from the Institute for Public Affairs, which is, essentially a free market Australian think tank, and they're often, very uh, accused of being a climate denial outfit as well, like putting out stuff about how, you know, carbon in the atmosphere does not actually contribute to global warming, things like that, you know. And then he is like invested in carbon credits, for Christ's sake.
There we
Um,
go.
all right. Uh, all right, let's go into the environment. So,
There we go.
oh God, some bloody Aboriginal name here in Victoria, Naya Vinifera Park, something.
I'm
Um,
literally not to. I'm not allowed to say the last name of the thing. The Nam oids.
oh, jeez.
Yeah, you've seen that, have you?
Nam Groid?
Are we allowed to say that?
I don't know. I saw the article and noticed it.
We shall see, I guess. But yeah.
Anyway,
Nam, Namoid name.
people at this park in Victoria have been camping there for over 40 days now. So they're protesting against the Victorian Murray Flood Plan's restoration project. This is basically Aboriginal groups saying, no, this is sacred land, you can't build there. And what that really means is you can build there if you give us a lot of money. All right, so let's talk about defence. So the Defence Minister, Pat Conroy, he wants to put forth the case to the Labor Party at the upcoming national conference that the Labor Party is actually the natural party of defence. There is sort of this idea, at least in contemporary political discourse, that the right wing party is the pro defence party, and they tend to support increases to the defence budget. They are, of course, also more hawkish, more likely to bring you into a war that has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
And Pat Conroy is also pointing the finger at the defence establishment for a lack of discipline. And that's
Oh,
due
there
to
we go.
tens of billions of dollars in cost blowouts on major projects over the past few years.
Is that geopolitical based projects?
Look, they call this whole thing progressive patriotism. We've heard this has been, in America for a long time now. And, it's about like spreading progressive values.
Being
And
gay.
yeah, that's what it is. And being proud of it, I guess. That's where the patriotism of it comes in. Like, I don't know, what is it? The Namgroid thing is like actually an Australian identity now.
Just be a
Being an
good
anti.
cunt. And it's like, okay, like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Is there any values? Wait. Oh, wait. There are no values to being Australian anymore.
No, there's not. So yeah, I mean, what does progressive patriotism really actually mean then? It's like uh, we're just tolerant and we accept anyone.
Yeah, I guess.
We have a whole bunch of competing, clashing cultures, and that's a good thing. What
When
kind
your
of
country is
patriotism do you call
everyone,
that?
your country is no one.
Yeah. Um, okay, let's go into Aboriginal news. So,
Oh, God.
this is a beauty. I had a good laugh at this one. The footy player Nick Wimar, he was a player, I believe, for St Kilda, but he is of Noongar extraction, meaning he's like a
Oh, he's
WA.
local.
He's local. He's a local boy. So, people might know him. There was like one thing he really did that cemented his legacy, and that was like when he was apparently being racially abused by the crowd at some AFL game. He pulled up his shirt and pointed to himself. In other words, pointing out the color of his skin, and it was supposed to be this defiant stand against racism. And look, I don't know the details of it. I have to look into it, but something I definitely do know is that so often when like a black athlete or an Aboriginal athlete or whatever is booed, it very often turns out that the booing had nothing to do with their race at all. It's simply because of the fact that you're on the opposing team. And isn't that
What
how
was
it
that?
works
The
at a sports
banana
game?
case with the
Well,
swan?
okay. Well, okay, that's obvious. If you're throwing bananas, like okay. Um, no, but I mean, like the Adam Goods
The guy was
saga,
the guy was
you know?
Polynesian.
Yeah, but I mean, do you remember when everyone was booing Adam Goods?
Yes.
I mean, that had nothing to do with him being Aboriginal. It was him being a dick.
Yep.
And he's the one who made it a racial issue. And he called out that 13-year-old girl who called him an ape. Now,
Because he
I
was an ape.
think but the thing is though, he looks like a fucking ape, right? I honestly think that girl. I don't think that was a racial slur. I
Nope.
think she just looked at
Because he
him and
was
thought,
an absolute terrible fucking shit.
"Oh yeah," it was
That
like,
was a
"Look,
decent descriptor for him
that
at the
guy looks
time.
like an ape. He's on the team that I'm against, so I'm going to yell out and call him an ape." That's all I
Fair
think
is
happened.
fair.
And then he went and has this like fucking public psychological meltdown over it.
Oh God,
Uh,
it's so terrible. Oh.
and then he also did this shit where he did like a war dance. Do you remember that?
Yep. And
Uh,
pretended to throw a spear into the audience.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
when someone called him a spear chucker, that was a another problem.
yeah. But also, what I find most amusing about that war dance, he made it up. That was not a traditional war dance because there's no such thing. Like Aborigines haven't invented fucking anything. All they've done is like sharpened a stick. That's it. Like,
I'm not even joking. When you go to an Australian museum, look at the asterisks at the bottom of every single Aboriginal art piece and etc. It's like this is all post-colonial. This is all like done like after 1788 and etc. You know why? Everything post that is made the fuck up because we don't
yeah,
sell we wanted to sell the new world fucking shit for these savages.
okay. Now I totally diverted from the story we're actually supposed to be.
So yeah, we just went out of bent. So
All right. So this guy, this AFL player, Nicky Wimar, I don't know. I know people are probably laughing at me now because I can't pronounce his name. I'm not a footy guy. Anyway, that there was a statue made of him doing that iconic like shirt lift and pointing to his skin. Um, that was outside Optus Stadium, which is our big stadium here in Perth. And well,
Yep.
guess what? It actually got removed, and it got removed really quickly. And you know why? He was found guilty of assaulting a woman in Victoria. Uh, I mean, I
Are you
just love
surprised?
how like, oh no, that's the thing. Like all of these icons that we build up, and in some cases even assemble bronze statues of. Um, it's just so funny how like as time goes by, like it just
Oh
crumbles.
wait, I do need to scroll through. Do we stuff for Yagan Square because Yagan Square is turned into a shithole.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Right. Yeah. No. It's every time we make some kind of like weird novel, um, like head of our nation, etc. Surprise, surprise! It takes fuck all to find out they're a piece of shit.
yeah,
Even
and I mean,
Yagan himself.
right. Well, I mean, even an example like Martin Luther King, who was sort of
Prostitute rapist.
universally reviled. Yeah, and I mean, he was banging white hookers and uh,
No,
more
no,
than
no,
like,
not banging, raping.
well, okay, yeah, and
The FBI recorded him raping hookers.
there's also evidence to show that he plagiarized his PhD as well.
Of course,
There's a lot of
of
stuff.
course.
Um, so yeah, no, but what was funny was that statue, like as soon as he got convicted, it was announced that that statue would be taken down, and it was taken down like Sunday, I think. Honestly, on Sunday, like the government can actually act quickly when they want to. All right.
All right.
Um, oh yeah. So an Aboriginal woman has been spared jail for assaulting Lydia Thorpe. This was outside the Melbourne Cricket Ground. 29-year-old Aboriginal woman. What is it?
Is it Jill Pryor? No.
Her name is Ebony Jan Bell. Wow, she was actually called Ebony.
Jesus.
So it says Bell claimed she carried out the attack because of a comment Miss Thorpe made disrespecting her mother. Okay. Apparently their families know each other.
Uh, trying to think how.
Yeah, look, I don't know about that. I mean, because Lydia Thorpe herself is only like what 1/8 Aboriginal or something. So
Yeah.
I'm
She's
guessing.
what we call like a political Aboriginal.
Yeah, and I mean, like look at the pictures of her before she entered Parliament. She just looks like a white person.
Yeah, before she entered her tan bed.
Yeah, and then she started like sleeping in a fucking tanning bed or something. Um, okay, now over in New South Wales, we're being warned that domestic violence um, services are critically underfunded and under pressure. So there has been a $184.1 million investment into those services in regional areas, but apparently that is not enough. So they're calling for more funding for specialist refuges and long term justice reforms because the rates of domestic violence continue to rise. And there's also a spike in the amount of domestic violence related homicides. And yeah, look, as I've said before, I do agree with the feminists. Like, domestic violence is on the rise in Australia. It is. But I'd just like to have a look at who's committing it. And again, in Melbourne, they have like Indian only uh, refuges for women, Indian women. I mean, that didn't pop up for no reason.
Oh yeah. So like even like the with the social workers, they said like, oh, we had to learn like Farsi and fucking Pashtun, etc. and in Hindi. You know why? To deal with the women they actually had to deal with when they were beaten.
Yeah, it's like how a lot of cops in America speak Spanish because, well, there's just so many bloody Hispanics around, and very often, they'll speak in Spanish so that the cops don't understand what they're saying. So yeah, that's
Well,
not
not even
surprising.
that. Like the women, like crying and screaming and running away from their fucking boyfriend because their boyfriend hit them. And then, actually, I think you're going the same point that I'm going for. But like, yeah, no, it's terrifying.
Okay, now, not much on crime news today, by the way, but David Crisafulli seems to be in Queensland is somewhat doubling down on his tough on crime approach. So um, he, of course, like strengthened bail laws. He's saying that he's going to go further than that, and he's calling the new reforms breach bail, go to jail. Um, okay, now this apparently is controversial. I actually even saw a story in the Australian saying that legal experts are slamming this policy. Um, well, the Australian newspaper should know that, like, the legal profession nowadays is thoroughly paused. Um, there, there used to be sort of like a stereotype of lawyers being these upper crust, out of touch yuppies. I don't think that's really true anymore. Um,
They're mostly women.
yeah, well, that's what that. Yeah, okay, that's a massive part of it. Yeah, I mean, this used to be an industry dominated by men. It's now about 50-50. Maybe it's even tipped in favor of women. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, what's so controversial about that? I mean, I thought that was the whole point of actually getting bail in the first place, is that you agree to like behave yourself and turn up for court when it's time for your hearing. Um, and if you're denied bail, well, you have to stay in jail. So I really don't see what is so controversial about that. What else are you supposed to do? Just give them another fine or something and just hope they don't do it again. Even though also at that stage they would be at much higher risk of absconding.
Well,
Um, what is so bad about that?
outside of like what I've seen so far, um, I guess yes.
Okay, now on to guns. So, still in Queensland, police have charged 11 people with the possession and distribution of blueprint material for the manufacture of firearms. So, yeah,
Just try
this is
it.
illegal now. Even if you just possess it, like, man, I remember years ago, I mentioned, I have actually worked on construction sites before, and
Yep.
this guy was talking about how he was a bit of a gun enthusiast, let's say. Uh, and he was talking about how the police actually did a raid on his property because they got a tip off that he had guns there. And the cops did not find any guns. However, they did find bullets. They found ammunition. And they couldn't actually charge him with anything because that was not illegal back then. You know, now obviously,
Information is not a crime.
yeah. Now obviously he did have guns.
Yes,
They just
but
couldn't. They just didn't find them. But yeah, like when they asked him, there's like do you have guns to go with this ammunition? It's like, no, I just like bullets. That's all. And he got off because of that. But yeah, now even just fucking blueprints, that can get you in the shit. I think also like if you have whatever it is you need to make it with a 3D printer, those plastic guns.
Yep. I'm actually thinking about that. I'm looking at a 3D printer right now, and I said, like, what the fuck are they actually going to regulate on that thing? The Nemo 23 motors, the Acme screws, the aluminium frame, the functional hot glue gun.
I don't know. I just remember like
All of it.
when 3D printing, first kind of became known. I remember libertarians absolutely loved it because they were saying things like, "Oh, it'll only be like a few years till a 3D printer can make an air conditioner or something." I'm like, really? Like something as complex as that with all these moving parts and stuff? Like,
It's not as complex as you think. That's the worst
No?
part. It's a CNC machine. It's a hot glue CNC machine.
I have no idea what that means.
There we go.
Okay, well, now in Tasmania, people who steal guns or possess stolen firearms would face a mandatory minimum jail term of 3 months. And, well, this is another Liberal government, actually, over there. The Liberals are like the party of gun control in Australia. They really are. I mean, okay, yeah, Labor's doing like a national buyback scheme at the moment, but they're doing that with the complete cooperation of the states and territories. What you've got going on here is really laws at the state level. And the Libs are very tough on guns. Okay, now let's go to the debacle in the Victorian Liberal Party. So we mentioned on the last episode that Moira Deeming accused Matthew Guy, the former leader, of assault, and they were actually at some like Macedonian church with a dance going on. The video is publicly available. Like, I encourage anyone who's interested in this to actually watch the video, because all it is like he leans over to talk to her, and when she can't hear him because it's a loud venue, he goes and puts his head behind hers and like pulls her in a bit closer so that she can hear. And then, he says whatever it is into her ear, and that's it. Like, the footage is out there, you can watch it. And the Victorian police reviewed the footage and said, no, there's like no assault here. Because what she claimed was that it was a headlock and that like for a good few seconds she couldn't move. So she was asked by not just Matthew Guy, but the leader, Jess Wilson, and many others to publicly apologise for that. She refused. Now, there was supposed to be a meeting last Friday, a Liberal Party meeting where they were, largely expected to get together and vote to remove her pre-selection for the upper house in the upcoming election. She actually managed to file an injunction order in court, postponing that. So I'm not really sure what the point of that is, because it looks like they're pretty intent now of dumping her yet again. So she's just kind of delaying the inevitable with this injunction. So this is the end of her. It has to be. And what's amazing about this is that like she had such a good gig. She had this made, and then she like just pissed it away. Because that Pauline Hanson is now saying that she would not be welcome in One Nation. Before accusing Matthew Guy of assault, she was considered to be like the populist rights darling, like this angelic force, because she's out there, talking against trannies, standing up against like the wishy-washy moderates in the Liberal Party. She was an absolute darling of Sky News, the Australian.
Even the
those.
name like Moira,
But look, no, the reason for this is simply because of the fact that she turned up to that anti-trans event, and Thomas Sewell and the boys turned up as well. She was unfairly compared to them, and then won a defamation case. And then she actually got her pre-selection back because they had pre-selected an Indian candidate who gave a character reference to a convicted pedophile. And then they had like literally no one left, so they went back with Moira Deeming. And again, like Sky News, the Australian, everything, they just celebrated. They were just gleeful at all of this. Fast forward a bit, and she goes and she makes this ridiculous assault allegation. Now, I'm just wondering, like, was this like a result of hubris? Was she a victim of her own hubris here? Did she like get so high off all like the fawning support from the press and the rank and file conservatives that she thought she could just walk on water, and no matter what she did, that everyone would kind of get behind her and back her and say, "You go, girls, Moira"? I think maybe she was in that kind of mentality, and now it has spectacularly blown up in her face. And this is the end of her political career. They're going to dump her, and One Nation now won't take her, whereas I think previously they absolutely would have taken her. I mean, if they took on Barnaby and they want to take on Alex Antic, well, surely they would have took on her, but no longer. So,
all right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, New South Wales Libs, the former Liberal MP Daryl Maguire is still on trial over a visa scam that he was involved in.
Fuck.
When's
it not?
This is the guy who was also in a relationship with the Premier, with Gladys. Now, Wagga Wagga business owners have told the New South Wales District Court that Daryl Maguire approached them to participate in the alleged fraudulent visa scheme. So it's not looking good for him. If you don't know what this scheme was, basically they were supplying fake information to the Department of Home Affairs to bring in Chinese workers, bring them illegally into the country. That's what this guy was involved in. I don't give a fuck if he was fucking the Premier, I do care if he was involved in an elaborate visa scam to bring Chinese nationals into the country. I definitely care about that. Okay. Now, I've spoken about the ALP National Conference. The ALP New South Wales Conference has just been. It was just on the weekend. And you had two men who unfurled a Palestinian flag right at the moment Chris Minns, the Premier, walked onto the stage. Now, it was at that point that police who were there at the event immediately took those two men outside. However, I don't believe they've been charged with anything because I don't think that's a crime. And New South Wales Labor actually put out a statement saying that they thanked the police for their professionalism. However, they gave no instruction to them to actually remove anyone who was displaying any kind of signage at the event. So, I don't know. Is this Labor like sort of trying to have their cake and eat it too? Like,
possibly. I didn't.
So they don't want their events to be disrupted, but at the same time, they don't want to signal too hard against the pro-Palestine voices in the party.
They want their protest and eat it too, I guess.
Well, I mean, Chris Minns is seen to be not sufficiently pro-Palestinian and, too much of a Zionist, and he is. I mean, He
Of
went
course.
to every single funeral of the Bondi victims. I mean, there was 15 of them. He's the premier of the state, for Christ's sake. Doesn't he have important meetings to go to? Instead, he went to 15 fucking funerals. All right. Oh, yeah. We keep going on about this guy from Northern Territory Labor, Manuel Brown. This guy he looks like a genuine half-caste. When I see this guy, it's like, you can definitely actually see the Aboriginal in him.
Can we say that?
He has admitted that he let 2 of his sons drive his car, even though neither of them are of age, let alone have a license. So he also has various speeding offences too. He's also been accused of bullying his staffers. So finally, he's
give me a
been
hot
dumped.
second.
Okay, he's been dumped as opposition whip for Labor in the Northern Territory Parliament. So, it took a while for them to get there. Maybe it's not so much of a popular thing to dump an Aboriginal from a senior position within the party. But that's what they've finally done. Okay, now here in WA, Paul Papalia, he is a long-serving minister, and he's just announced his resignation from Parliament. So this is due to a serious illness that is affecting an immediate family member. I don't think we know which family member it is. But this is going to trigger a by-election, of course. So this is in the Perth seat of Secret Harbour. Now this, I can't remember if this was considered to be like a blue ribbon Liberal seat. It may have been one of those. But it was definitely considered to at least be like a nominal Liberal seat. One that, if Labor takes it, it doesn't go to them very often. So that is causing a lot of people to say, well, okay, considering the nationwide rise of One Nation and considering the fact that they poll very well in seats that are usually taken by either the Libs or the Nats, that quite possibly they could take this one. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not actually too familiar with the polling of One Nation in WA. I mean, we obviously know that they've been doing very well over East, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. WA, I'm really not sure. Have to come back to that one. Okay.
I guess we shall see.
Oh, you're back. Good.
There you go. I know, it's just the old man.
Okay. All right, so to the federal ALP. 2 men have been sacked from Ernst & Young, and this was after Albo's personal banking information was allegedly breached.
Oh, it's invoice data.
Oh, is it?
I
Okay.
guarantee you.
Yeah, so an investigation was prompted by irregular activity identified at the bank. And that led to police charging a staff member back in May. Okay.
Someone was stealing
the Prime Minister's money?
No, from using the Prime Minister's credit card account.
Oh, okay. No, I wish I didn't have to go through this one. Albo made a joke about shagging Kylie Minogue. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
He was on some crappy podcast. It was one of those like sort of fun and games podcasts that politicians will occasionally do to humanize themselves, appeal to the common man or whatever. And
what happened to just kissing babies on their forehead?
Well, Well, look, but here's what happens. Everyone is saying that the Prime Minister said that he wanted to shag Kylie Minogue if his marriage went tits up. Now, the thing is, he didn't use any of those words, right? He was asked who his dream woman was, and he said, "Well, I can't say that. I've just gotten married." And then he said, "Well, okay, but what if your marriage goes
Did
tits
you?
up? Who would it be?" And then he said Kylie Minogue, and she said, "Oh, okay. So you would like you'd marry her and shag her and everything." And he went, "Yeah," and that was it. That's all it was. He never actually said like, "I want to shag Kylie Minogue." He went on. He just went on this joke that the host was making. He went with it. It was completely tame as far as I'm concerned, but they are making such a song and dance about it, and it's just sad. Like, guys, there's better things to complain about. Seriously. All right. All right. So the Federal Liberal Party. So
yes.
as part of like the post-mortem on the election, the most recent federal election, where the coalition was somewhat wiped out, a particular group that came under scrutiny in the post-mortem was the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. Now, these people come up every
Plymouth.
now and then.
Plymouth, by the way. It's not Plymouth, it's Plymouth.
Plymouth, sorry. They get singled out because like they sometimes campaign for the Liberal Party, which is kind of strange because the exclusive brethren are not supposed to vote, and you can actually get a religious exemption if you can prove that you're member of the exclusive brethren church. It's one of the ways you can get out of voting in Australia. And I remember first seeing this back in the Howard days, like they were actually paying for ads. They were taking out ads promoting the Liberal Party. But yeah, every now and then they get brought back into the spotlight, and they were so again here, and basically because they see part of the reason why the Liberal Party was had such a bad result at the last election was because of this particular Brethren Church. That's ridiculous. I'd say most people have never even heard of them.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. Like,
No one gives a shit about the Plymouth Brethren Church. No one cares. Now, thankfully, though, people in the coalition are actually saying, no, this is bullshit. Like, what are you wasting your time on? We're supposed to be investigating the real reasons why we were wiped out, why we weren't appealing to voters. Like, what was wrong with our policies, for example? And here you are talking about the fucking Brethren Church. Okay.
Hyperpartisan witch hunt? The fuck is this?
So, when we're looking at the key talking points that the Liberal Party is putting out at the moment, if you look at like their website, for example, they're still focusing their attacks on Labor, as you would expect them to do so. And the ABC seems to love pointing this out because it's their kind of way of calling the Liberal Party racist. Because they're saying, well, look, Angus Taylor consistently refuses to repudiate Pauline Hanson and her various comments on monoculture or immigration or whatever. Like, therefore, he is just as bad as Pauline. I would say that, no, the reason why is because it's more politically tactful to go after Labor, considering they are the traditional opposition, the traditional enemy of the coalition. And if the coalition were to actually form a future government, I'd say that would have to be off the back of one nation preferences. So why on earth would you then reserve your ire and your attack simply for one nation? You would be doing something that many of those one nation voters would really resent and would be much more likely to bump you down on the how to vote card on the ballot if you were to do that. So, no, there's no surprise there. And no, that does not mean that Angus Taylor actually is a secret white supremacist or something like that. He's just being strategic. All right. And look, Dan Tehan, who was on Insiders the other day, said that a coalition with one nation just has not come up in discussions. I'd say that's probably pretty true. I'd say if they ever have come up in discussions, it would be about a hypothetical alliance. Not a coalition, but an alliance, simply if there was a hung parliament and you needed those one nation seats to be able to form government. That's something that's absolutely plausible. That could happen. Same way as the Labour Party went into alliance with the Greens back in 2010 under Julia Gillard. That could happen. When you've got a hung parliament, obviously, you've got to get others onto your side. It's the only way you can form government. Okay, so to the Nationals. Now, they had a conference themselves. And guess what? Matt Canavan apparently mentioned Tim Tams several times because of the fact that a pack now costs $6 or more in many shops. But you know who he didn't mention? Pauline Hanson and One Nation. Not a single mention. So again, they're asking the same kind of questions, like why is the National Party choosing to ignore One Nation and have all their focus on Labour? Strategically, not a good idea. Okay.
Now, in terms of pissing people off, but...
Well, look, this is also why, again, on the same talking point here, the Greens are saying, well, look, we are the only ones standing up against One Nation. So Larissa Waters, the party leader, said she has vowed to fight back against Pauline Hanson's One Nation and offer Australians a more hopeful future. She said that it's time to wake up and that Australia was sleepwalking into fascism. Wow. She said
sleepwalking? What about running?
Every political party in this country except the Greens is bleeding votes to One Nation. But the thing is, Labor, the Liberals, and One Nation, they're all the same. They serve the same vested interests. They take the same billionaire and big corporate donations. They pass the same legislation to protect profits and not people. As a result, we have the worst wealth inequality in history. No wonder people are angry.
Yeah.
How are you going to make it better, Larissa Waters? By increasing our immigration intake even more and making houses even more expensive? Do you think that is going to do something about wealth inequality in this country? Well, let me read the next quote. But blaming migrants won't make big corporations pay their fair share of tax. It won't restore funding to essential services. It won't lift people out of poverty. It won't make housing more affordable. It won't make wages rise. For God's sake,
what makes workers more fucking powerful? Their scarcity.
Yeah, does she even recognize the irony, the blatant irony in that statement? So, Larissa, you're going to import more people that would put downward pressure on wages, upward pressure on housing prices, increase corporate profits. You're saying
increase replaceability. Being fair, being everyone is a great human fucking humanoid. Yeah, so increase replaceability.
That is unbelievable. All right.
Fucking retard.
All right. Now, foreign affairs. So, China's ambassador to Australia has criticized our domestic spy agency ASIO for a video that was circulating about the operation of Chinese spies in Australia. I mean, look,
Yeah.
that's objectively true. China admits that they have spy networks all around the world, including Australia. How do you think it is that they've managed to catch and deport Chinese nationals in Australia wanted for crimes back in China? They do a better job than Border Force at getting those people out of the country. So obviously they have spies here. So I don't know why they're complaining about that. It's common knowledge they have a spy network here.
Don't complain. That's like a standard geopol.
Well, did you see like China just tested a ballistic missile in the Pacific as well? Did you see that?
No, I didn't catch that. Was that the second story?
No, it's not in the prep. I mean, look, this didn't really relate to this didn't really relate to Australian news, so I didn't bother putting it in. Well, look, what I'm reading now on the ABC is that apparently one of these missiles could carry a nuclear warhead, and it could actually reach the Australian mainland. So, all right, I guess that does have something to do with Australia then.
Alrighty.
All right, let's go into the Sex Discrimination Act. So, Julia Gillard, she was at some kind of forum the other day, and she was asked about the changes that her government made to the Sex Discrimination Act back in 2013. This was supposed to further entrench the rights of women in Australia. And she said that those reforms reflect a different time. And she didn't say this like directly, but she basically implied that the law now needs to be reformed again because of the fact that the word woman or female or girl can actually be interpreted in different ways. You know, in other words, we include transgender people, transgender women, sometimes in the definition of what a woman is.
2012, like our reforms weren't big enough.
Well, not exactly though. So this is the weird thing. Like some people are basically criticizing Gillard for being a TERF over this, because she pointed out that when they put through these reforms, everyone was agreed on what the definition of a woman is, right? And, you know, simply a member of the female sex, as Scott Morrison said. You know, a transgender person was not considered to fall under the definition of a woman. And so they operated under that assumption when they made the reforms. Now, of course, you know, you've got the tickle and giggle case.
Oh, God.
Amazing that that's actually the name of it. But, you know, where you've got these fucking mentally ill litigious trannies who just insist on intruding on like women-only spaces and saying, no, you have to include me because I'm a woman. No, you're not. You're a fucking mentally ill man in a dress. That's what you are. And Julia Gillard basically says, well, look, they need to be reformed again. She seemed to be implying that they need to be reformed so that we exclude transgender women. So how about that? Like, Julia Gillard, you know, who was always considered to be like a feminist prime minister, a gender reformer, you know, she encouraged women to break the glass ceiling, all that kind of stuff. Now she basically looks like a TERF.
Oh, Christ.
All right. So on to childcare. So a loophole in the government's new childcare safety legislation allows educators who have breached safety standards and lost federal funding to re-register under a different provider.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. As if we didn't have enough trouble with, trying to keep sex offenders out of childcare centres. Now, on that note, story from the Noticer, a woke childcare provider, and yes, there is a such thing, they've been stripped of their funding because of multiple safety breaches. And that included leaving rat poison and even dog feces within the reach of children.
Yep.
And also, a homosexual pedophile ex-police officer, yes, childcare worker, has been jailed
Welcome.
for sexually abusing 9 children at 6 different childcare centres in Sydney. He's black as well, I should point out. He looks like some kind of African.
He's a West Asian, but yeah.
Well, he's
God,
sort of got like this afro, but now that you mention it, yeah, it doesn't really look like an African afro.
Yeah, dude. Every the last couple of months, man, it had been a nightmare for me, man. Here they are. Here they are, Lithuanian.
All right, let's go into health. So, sorry, skipping some stories here. I realize I'm not very good. Oh yeah, so the Therapeutic Goods Administration, they're warning consumers about using sexual enhancement products. I don't know what these things are supposed to do. They're supposed to make sex more enjoyable in some kind of way. I'm not sure. But
they're meant to make your dick harder.
Okay, well, they've said that they found several of these products contain hidden amounts of other products such as Viagra and other prescription drugs, even though there's nothing like on the label that tells you it's in there.
It's a basic toxin, so it could actually destroy your liver, but we shall see.
Okay. So yeah, it said several of these products contained undeclared prescription drugs with the substances, whatever the hell that is. It's Viagra. It's just like the medical name, clinical term.
Cialis is the female version, and Daxavil is the general name for it, and Tadalafil is the actual UPF pill name for it.
Okay, well, it says the drugs work by relaxing blood vessels and increasing blood flow to specific areas of the body, but they can have serious side effects if taken by the wrong person without a prescription. Yeah, people are ordering this shit online now, like getting it from Indian pharmacies. And I saw an article a couple of weeks ago about peptides. Apparently, this is like a new thing in bro science. Various YouTube influencers talking about nootropics, like cognitive enhancers.
Peptides are okay, as long as like you're hurt in the muscular way.
Apparently, you can overdose on them though.
Peptides, it takes quite a little bit.
Well, the article I read said that people have overdosed on them. I mean, remember, people have overdosed on ivermectin too. So,
oh yes, oh,
there are some people out there who will take an enormous quantity of it.
Are they retarded?
Yeah, but they still do it.
Yeah, but this stuff is fucking an absolute fucking nutcase. If you want to OD on fucking Viagra, you deserve it. What do you dissolve it in wine? I don't actually dissolve it in wine. Don't do that.
Well, I know that like some people take too much of it, and basically like their erection won't go away,
and it goes neurotic.
Yeah, well, Okay, I didn't know that. I knew you could damage your dick doing that. Obviously.
Yes.
Fuck.
Oh God. All right, we should probably get off this topic unless you
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
like
Look,
learn about
the other thing
exactly
I
how
had
you
was
can
about
die from dead dick.
hospital beds. So people are taking up. There's been like a 60% rise in the past 3 years in the amount of people taking up hospital beds. So um, this apparently is costing an extra $1.6 billion a year. They're calling on Labor to, um, well, it says that there's a pattern of behaviour in its treatment of older Australians. And they're pushing much of the burden onto non government health providers. And in particular, that is Catholic Health Australia. Yeah, a lot of people don't realise that the Catholic Church actually puts enormous resources into the hospital system in Australia. And they really don't get much thank for it because, there was actually a Catholic hospital in the ACT that refused to perform abortions because, well, they're Catholic. And you know what happened to them? They were nationalised by the ACT Labor government. They're like, oh, so you don't want to do abortions at your hospital. Never mind the fact that you give free healthcare that doesn't even come to the expense of the taxpayer. Never mind that. We'll just take over your hospital.
Yep, there's several saint hospitals that are named after Catholic saints, which would mark that Catholic origin.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, now here's a story. This is more about private health insurance in Australia and how ambulance cover is treated. So they talked about this woman who her husband had a heart attack or something. I'm not sure what it was. And so, of course, she went and called the ambulance. And when the ambulance got there, he had already died.
Yeah.
So the ambulance, of course, the ambos, still took the body, took the body to the morgue and all that usual stuff.
No
Later
one
on,
dies in an ambulance.
well, she was given a bill for $600, right? Even though under her health insurance plan, it included ambulance cover. However, you don't get the ambulance cover for a corpse. A corpse is not considered a patient. Because of the fact that he was dead before the ambulance got there, he was not legally considered to be a patient, and she had to foot the bill for $600. Yes,
Oh,
that's what
God.
private health insurers will do to you.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Who declared him a corpse? Who said time
Well,
of death?
I
Was there
don't
a
know.
doctor there?
I don't know those details. I just know that's what they said. They said he was already dead.
So, if you have to declare a time of death, and to declare a time of death, you have to have a medical license. You have to be an MD, and an EMT can't declare time of death. That's why no one dies in an ambulance.
Oh, okay. Look, I'm ignorant on that stuff, man. I've no idea. I'm just going by what that article said. So,
Bullshit. So she should sue back and ask where the doctor was.
okay.
Yep.
No, that's interesting. I'd like to look further into that now, actually.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Whooping cough in the south of Western Australia has been recorded to be going up. We had 38 cases in 2025, which is up basically from zero. I'm quite sure that we would see these similar kind of spikes across the country and even across the world. And doctors are putting this down basically to one thing: vaccine hesitancy. People are not getting vaccinated. Look, I'll say it again. This is one of the most
Whipping
famous.
copies from is from mold normally.
Okay, but you do get a vaccine for it.
I mean, like you can, but like it doesn't really work. But no, whooping cough is neglect. So that means that like rural communities have spread their disease into what like non-rurals. I'm reading this.
Okay, but I mean, in that article, that is what they were putting it down to.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's just look like if keep people healthy. That's the biggest thing you can do. Which
Yeah,
is
we can
not
all agree.
fucking like like fucking alcohol, fucking like adjacent babies and fucking mold houses and run over houses.
Yeah. Okay, so abortion. In South Australia, they have this kind of colourful woman of colour who's an anti-abortion campaigner. Um, this again, conservatives love propping those ones up. Anyone who is like non-white and preferably female as well, who can break that like old man conservative stereotype, they're perfect. So this woman, Joanna Howe, she's an anti-abortion campaigner who goes around the place kind of harassing Labor MPs basically with a camera. Um, so she declared $0 in political campaign expenditure to the South Australian Electoral Commission. But she says her legal advice has informed her that it was not political campaigning, um, even though she had an enormous amount of money spent on social media.
Hmm.
Um, oh, God. So, some gay news. The Tasmanian Greens, they're going to bring a bill to state parliament that would ban conversion practices. So, look, um, as always, because remember we have like various forms of this law throughout the country. Please do not think this is a law that is like outlawing electroshock therapy on gays. We already have those laws. All right, that's already illegal. Those practices are like died decades ago. This actually includes things like telling a child if they identify as transgender, you can actually be breaking these laws if you say to that child, maybe you're not transgender. If you say to them, like, maybe this is just a trend, it's like a fad that you're following, a phase that you're in, something like that, that is actually enough to breach that law. That's the way
There
it
is
stands in
there is
Victoria.
jewelry that I own legally that I own that I don't possess, and if I ever possess them in my entire life, I'm going to jail forever.
Yeah, I mean, no, this is something that, like, people will say they're willing to go to jail over. Like, um, like a court order to put your child on puberty blockers or something.
I think the entire world fucking like rightfully, like got shitty about that guy from Texas.
Hmm.
Rightfully.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, my fucking like, wife, ex-wife, like decided my son was going to be, like mentally raped to death.
Yeah, look, it's extremely triggering. And I just hate the fact that, like, people still think that like, old brutal form of conversion therapy is a real thing. Like, and it wasn't even done that much when they did do it, you know? Like, Bob Brown reckons they did it to him, the former Greens leader. Um, all right.
Oh my god, it's
All
terrible.
right. So,
But
Labor's social media ban for under 16s. They're proposing to double the fines of tech giants such as Meta if they refuse to hand over documents that could prove that they are failing to enforce Australia's social media ban. So we know that Meta have done this before, like have actually tried to cover up data showing the ill effects of their platforms. I can't remember how long ago it was now, but it actually found that the platform that caused the most damage was Instagram because it was linked to a large number of youth suicides. So
If
definitely,
it's
I can
related to
imagine.
young women, yeah.
Yeah, yes, mainly young girls. That's Instagram is absolutely toxic to teenage girls or tweens, whatever. Like they just should not be allowed on it. So I can absolutely see, these companies trying to do that, trying to cover it up. Because remember, it's not illegal for like that teenager to access social media. It's illegal for the platform to allow them to use it. They're supposed to be putting in mechanisms to keep them away from it. That's the whole idea of the laws. All right, so gambling. We Labor is looking to present legislation that is going to limit the amount of gambling advertising that can be played during sports games. Now, what we need to point out here, though, is that these laws basically do not apply to streaming. So now I'm not sure what it's like if most people still use the TV to watch sport games or streaming. I don't know, but
I don't
obviously more and more people are
gamble.
moving towards streaming, just like they are for anything really, any form of entertainment. More and more people are moving towards streaming.
I'm gonna ask for some of the younger guys, like, what the fuck is going on with gambling?
What do you mean?
Because I don't fucking know about gambling.
Well, neither do I. But there was a member of the Liberal Party who yelled out, "Do you care about people committing suicide?" or something like that, because problem gambling is absolutely linked to suicide. There's no question about that. And when you watch the streaming services, assuming it's free, you're not using a dodgy one. I know that, like in AFL, like pretty much every time they kick a goal, it goes to an ad, and very often that ad is for gambling. Now, I mean, if anything, in the online sphere, they should be cracking down on this even more because everyone's got the internet in their pocket now. And what if you're out of the pub, you've had a few pints, and you see a sports bet ad come up? There you are in your drunken state. You suddenly think it's a good idea to put a whole heap of money on this team. That's just a recipe for disaster. It's like how at the casino when you play on a table, they're always coming up asking if you need drinks. They want you to get
Yeah,
pissed.
fuck no.
They want you to get fucking drunk so that you empty your pockets.
All right. So greyhounds.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this. Just look, we've covered this topic before, but all I'll say is they have been accused. The greyhound industry has been accused of suppressing videos that show serious falls of the greyhounds during races that either result in injury or death. And I watched a couple of these videos that was on the ABC article, and it was fucking horrific, man. Like,
Yep.
it's
Nutcase
almost,
shit.
like when you see a rally car crash and it flips over, and yeah, it looked like that. Like, honestly, the dog looked like that, like the way it rolled around and like mangled itself. It was fucked up. And
Yep.
just watch that and it'll fucking put you off for life. And some of them actually die. All it takes sometimes is
Yep.
one fall. I mean, considering how fast they're going and the fact that they crash into other dogs a lot of the time as well, it can kill them.
I
So,
actually I put some inquiries into some uh you know greyhounds last yesterday and on Friday. Um, I lost my bets uh for two of them, but I might get the third. But
okay,
yeah, no,
well, I'm you know, I'm an
yeah,
animal
no,
welfare guy. Animal welfare, not animal rights. Uh, but no, this is a sick industry, and it should be shut down.
yep.
Um, okay, now final
It's
story.
gonna be done at the end of the financial year. Like it actually should have been done.
Well, they're slowly phasing it out.
I I thought it was
Like,
gonna be done on the 1st of July.
well, no, different states have different laws. Like in Tasmania, they actually have not passed the laws yet. Like they want
Are
to,
you are you fucking
but
serious?
yeah, no, they haven't even passed the laws. But no, the Liberal Party does want to do it, but it's a gradual phase out. Like dogs that are
Okay.
already at the tracks, they're allowed to continue to race, but you're not allowed to bring any more of them in.
Okay, fucking
So,
Christ. But yeah, no, by the way, like if you go to adoption charts, if you want like cheap greyhounds, congratulations, now's your time.
yeah, go adopt a greyhound. If you want a dog, consider that. They are nice dogs. Um, okay, now finally, we're actually going to circle back to Pat Conroy, the defense minister, and the speech he gave when he was calling for a kind of progressive patriotism in Australia that the Labor Party should embrace. Um, because in this speech, he actually said that one of our most revered prime ministers, Sir Robert Menzies, was an appeaser of Adolf Hitler. So,
Bitch.
um, now, just to point out here, Menzies did say that he didn't believe that Hitler wanted all-out war. Well, a lot of
Titankrieg.
people said that. Like most people said that actually back then. Neville Chamberlain certainly did say that. And both both the Liberal Party and the Labor opposition, which was under John Curtin back then, they both supported that policy that we call appeasement. And, the word appeasement didn't actually have all the negative connotations back then that it does now. Um, so after Germany invaded Poland and war was declared on them, uh, Robert Menzies wrote in his diary that Hitler has no desire for a first class war, and it is really quite indefensible for us to be dictating to the German people what sort of government they shall have.
Yeah.
So he was kind of counter signaling Churchill because he just wanted all out war to overthrow the Nazis. Robert Menzies just kind of pushed back on that a little. So uh, conservatives in Australia have, of course, gone into a frenzy over this. John Howard even came out saying that the comments are beyond contempt. Pat,
Howard the First.
sorry,
Howard the First.
John
Oh
Howard.
no, like oh no, I contemporary John Howard.
He's still alive, yes,
Okay.
um, just barely. What was I saying? So yeah. Anyway, they've gone into a fucking frenzy over this, and Pat Conroy is doubling down, and he actually mentioned that quote that I just said then. Um, but it's like I don't know. This is just making me look on it all, saying, well, okay, maybe Menzies was just a little bit based. I'm not going to say fully based. I
No.
mean, he did support the White Australia policy. There's that very famous video
Yep.
that is still on YouTube. I encourage people to go and watch it. where he says that Australia should, for as long as it can, retain a homogenous ethnicity. He said that. But unfortunately, remember, it was his government that actually repealed the Immigration Restriction Act. So
Yeah, there was the Populator Parish Act, but again, that was only meant to be like like both UK people and Central Europeans.
yeah, but like the beginning of the undoing of the White Australia policy was the repeal of the Immigration Restriction Act and
Yep.
replacing it with the Migration Act 1958, which we still have to this day, I might add. So it was actually the Menzies government that set that train in motion.
1950.
But yeah, it's just amazing how much any kind of association with Hitler, just how much sting that can carry, But yeah,
I was gonna again my father was married to a German woman in 1957, and yeah, that was under the Populator Parish Act. But again, the Ideal Act, right, was literally a year after that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, the Liberal Party and the Labor Party love to scream about which one actually ended the White Australia policy. And look, the truth is they both did. It was incremental. It started
Yep.
with Menzies in 1958 and it finished with Gough Whitlam in 1973 or 4. But there was plenty.
2 enacted, 3.
Yeah, they both basically had an equal share in dismantling it, just like they both supported it previously.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. Look at that.
Good enough.
2 hours 11. That is such a short show in comparison to what we have been doing recently.
Normally do, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, on Thursday we got.
I was just going to mention that. So, yeah, Nolsey, will Randbot join us?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise,
guys,
I'm going to beat him.
We're going to bring back the race alive this Thursday. Considering all of the usual streamers in Australia are on some kind of bail condition, we thought maybe we'd sort of fill that void. So for a while anyway, we'll see if we make it a long-term thing. I'm not sure, but yeah, this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think.
Yep,
and 6 o'clock West Australian time. So yeah, look out for that. Check out all our stuff at theroaster.biz, and we'll see you then.